What's up, everybody? I'm James. Welcome to Mechanical Mayhem, and welcome back to the Mechwarrior 5 Clan story-driven campaign playthrough, where we watch all the cutscenes, listen to all the dialogue, and utilize stock mechs only as we go through the campaign. This is part 30. We're trucking right along. That means we've done 31 missions so far in this campaign, so there's quite a lot to do here. And we are continuing the fight against the 5th A-lag, not Laylag, but the 5th A-lag on Courchevel. We are approaching the end of Courchevel, so we've been here for quite a long time in the campaign, 2 different arcs, but I appreciate it. Not only is it quote-unquote lore accurate for the lore about Courchevel, but it also is 2 very different feeling type of arcs, and I like that. Anyways, let's continue taking the fight to the 5th A-lag, so strap in and prepare for drop.
Rebirth. Orbital surveillance picked up a dropship signature that matched the unrecovered craft belonging to the merchant caste.
The ship we believed was stripped for parts? That is good news then.
Neg.
Star Colonel?
We conducted a thorough radar scan that penetrated the dropship's hull. We identified the outlines and mass of mech assets, our mech assets. Cargo the merchant caste failed to report when their ships went dark. Feeding half-truths to save their own necks. Now the Raiders' scum have our assets in their possession.
What is the location of the dropship?
Those cowardly Raiders landed on the outskirts of Silverbrook. We must assume they are unloading them now to move them through the city.
Too afraid to smuggle them out via a spaceport, I am sure.
We are also monitoring another amphibian dropship across the city.
So we know where they are trying to get to.
Exactly. Cobalt, I'm deploying you into the city. Hunt them down and make sure they do not escape with our machines. I refuse to wear this blunder on my record. Now, gear up.
Alright, we have some pretty serious tonnage. 2 direwolves, 2 warhawks, and an executioner. We mean business. This mission is a fun mission. I'm in the Direwolf Prime. We have the Widowmaker Direwolf as a part of this as well. That's the hero configuration that came out with Trials of War. It's really cool. Why I like it, it's got a lot of weapon groups, and I tend to avoid mechs like that just for ease of making use of all the equipment. So I use the Prime, which is still very good. This mission is fun. I do enjoy it. It's got a decent intensity to it for what it is. It does make you wonder, though, in terms of all the missions here, as actual level design, not the story, but the level design of how they throw stuff at you. You do kind of scratch your head because you constantly crisscross across the map, and it's like, wait a minute, where are they even trying to go? I don't know where they're trying to, like, it's very odd feeling, but it's fun. And games all have that style of level design in them, so I don't mind it. It's a game thing. It doesn't distract from it at all, and it's a lot of fun, but it is one of those kind of weird level design concepts. Here we have more of Ezra being whiny. At this point, right, I just write Ezra off as being whiny, and honestly, if we're going to look at True Born Warriors as being a product, he's getting close to being defective. It's as harsh as it is to say. I understand where Ezra's coming from as a concept, but, a lifelong training session, right, being trained from birth, so quickly kind of just abandoned due to, losing Liam, which is unfortunate, and due to Perez being not a great guy. It's like, really, I feel like I feel like that's rather naive of Ezra, especially because you're on the clock. This is what you were made for, quite literally, is to win the win wars. You're a warrior, and we are invading, right? That's the other thing. I understand the idealism behind trying to save the inner sphere from itself and not be tyrants in the process, which, I get it. But we are doing 2 things. A, we are acting in the way of a culture that is not native to the inner sphere, and therefore they are not going to fully understand. And B, we're invading, right? All 4 clans of the invasion corridors are actually invading and taking territory forcibly away from the inner sphere. Yes, liberation is the concept behind the cause, but we're still not exactly welcomed like good news. So it does seem rather high horsey for Ezra to act the way he is, especially as we progress. But you know, that's just me, I guess, being too rooted in my ways of being pro clan. But whatever the poison, whatever the situation, this is a fun mission regardless. So I'm gonna take lots of damage. By the way, I am playing far too aggressively in this mission. My star will eventually start taking some damage, especially towards the end because I need them to. But this mission is definitely beatable while taking less damage. And even though I use custom builds in higher difficulties, um, in those higher difficulties, I definitely have taken less damage. Partly because those custom builds are just ridiculously powerful, and stock builds is a bit more of a difficult way to play. But also, I was just surprised, and I think I overextended myself and got far too aggressive with it. So here we see the whole point of the mission, how it works. We have a secondary objective, which is to eliminate all ALAG forces, which might well be a priority because we're going to have to. But the primary objective is to destroy the mechs with the skulls over their head. That is a clan mech. That's a Stormcrow. That's our mech assets that they have captured, and we need to get rid of that. And that's exactly what we're going to do. And that's what I'm doing here. I'm basically ignoring the rest of the enemy lance to cripple and destroy that Stormcrow, while my star basically finishes off the enemy lance. In the meantime, I'm always going to be out in front chasing down these mechs, meaning not only is the enemy AI kind of programmed to prefer attacking me because I'm the player, I'm also more than likely going to be one of the closest mechs to the enemy to attack, so I'm going to take lots of damage. You can easily do this way better than I'm doing it. You could utilize range much more to your advantage than I'm doing, but it still works. It still works. But you can definitely play this a lot better. I'm not playing it particularly well, but we get the job done, kind of brute forcing it a little bit. So the Direwolf, it's 100 tons. It's my preferred 100-ton assault mech that we have in terms of this time period for the clans. And when it comes to 100-ton assault mechs in general, I'll take the Direwolf over anything the Innisphere has. Not just because I'm a clanner at heart, but because I do think its capabilities are very fluid, right? Especially in its prime configuration. Don't get me wrong, the Atlas and the King Crab and so on, they're really good. I just prefer the Direwolf. The Battlemaster is an assault mech. Really the only medium mech we've encountered thus far, because I do believe the Quick Draw is a heavy, has been our mech asset. Now Ezra does make an interesting point that chances are our assets are centralized, so we could potentially initiate a remote override and shutdown. But I also think that is a little bit not prideful, or a little bit short-sighted in the fact that you are discounting the capability of the enemy to capture things. I feel like the whole reasoning, or not reasoning, but I feel like the whole concept behind capturing our mech assets, is to have it, and I think they would understand the ability to override and shut things down, and will probably bypass it. Capturing a mech, stealing a mech isn't easy to begin with, so if you're going to be successful about it, you're probably going to make sure there is no outside interference, such as a remote shutdown. So, yeah, a valid point made, but ultimately I think not something that's going to really be a viable option, and clearly it isn't because we're blowing stuff up. In any case, we just took down decent air and ground assets. Those vehicles, those SRM carriers, those were SRM 40s. The only time we see an SRM bigger than 6 is on vehicles, and those have 4 SRM 10s in them, so don't discount that. This Warhammer is out for blood against me, which is why my mech is taking the damage it has been. Also, I'm way out in front. It doesn't seem that far on radar, but in terms of being targeted by enemy AI and everything, I am more or less the only target they're looking at, which is why my mech has several different armor blow-through areas and structural damage. It's a testament, though, to the Direwolf's strength, as well as the research for armor and internal structure damage reduction research, that the mech is still functional. And we do have a repair bay coming up, so I'm not too worried about it, but I am definitely surprised at this point how much damage my mech has taken. And that's when I realized, yeah, I'm really overextending myself, but I don't really do much to correct that because, well, I am not good. But in any case, we have 2 repair bays. So I send Naomi to repair for a couple of reasons. I don't like relying on ammo crates because I can never remember exactly how much ammo we get from the crates. And I could, because we're not under a time crunch yet. We're only under a time crunch once those mechs appear on radar and once we get to the nav points. Right now, you could take your time. The mechs aren't going to get anywhere. But in any case, the Executioner does have weak center torso armor. So while the Executioner, has taken some of the most damage aside from me, even if it really didn't, I would still have it repair if the damage it took was on its center torso, because that's its Achilles heel in this game. So no internal structure gets repaired in these repair bays, but the armor is pretty thick enough that I'm okay with that. But yeah, I am still, like I said, surprised at the damage I took, because I am far too aggressive, and I'm going to maintain that because I don't learn from my mistakes apparently in this game. So that would have been 100% resupply. So if Naomi was good armor wise for the most part, or wasn't the second most damaged mech roughly, I would have had somebody else go through and just utilize the ammo crate. But I don't always know which one's going to be 100% because I don't remember that stuff. Anyways, we're about to encounter another batch of stiff resistance, but again, we don't have the time crunch yet. One of the things you can tell is you will see the skull symbol even if you can't target them. That's how you know they're up and running, and we don't have that yet. Ezra's little quip about, times are desperate. It's like, well, they stole our mechs. The whole point is to rectify this situation. So yeah, you could say it's desperate, but we can repair them. And even though they may have some of our own assets from just war of attrition in general across all invasion corridors and the stuff they got from Wolcott here in our corridor, the less they can have, the better, right? We're not only denying them our technology, we are bleeding out their strength in the process. So we have to look at it that way. In any case, I, again, have been far too aggressive. I could definitely have hung back better and not have put myself in the situation to be whittled down like I have been. But I did not do that because I am bad. So you have that. And then, of course, I overheated myself because why not add insult to injury? But this catapult isn't much of a problem. So, like I said, we weren't under a time crunch, but now you can see up on the top of the screen, I see red skulls. That means that target priority mechs are on the field now. So now we are under that time crunch. I've never not done this mission without direwolf and being in one, but obviously the faster you can move to position and take things out earlier, the better. That way you can whittle these things down even faster and have more of your star maybe able to hit the Novas at the same time. Because now instead of one Stormcrow, we have 2 Novas, and they're Nova Primes. So in the higher difficulties, these things can definitely melt your armor. Now, I don't know what determines their pathing. I don't know how random it is or whatnot. But at this point, after I kind of crippled the Warhammer and take it out, I am more or less trying to target things to have my star take stuff out, and then I'm focusing on the Novas because, as you can see, they're now disengaging. I don't know what they do pathing-wise. Sometimes they'll stay stuck in the fight a little bit longer. Other times, they almost make a direct beeline for this road. So, this is where having either overwhelming firepower or speed to get there and cut them off with less overwhelming firepower is going to come in handy. So while the direwolf won't win any races, especially not against Novas, the sheer amount of firepower I have has crippled one Nova and took it out, and now the second Nova will drop rather quickly to the direwolf's assault. But this is perhaps, for me anyway, one of the more tense parts of the mission, as this is a very realistic failure point because of how close the evac point is for them. relative to where you engage them. So now we are blitzing forward, and my mech is hurt pretty bad again, but we got this. We took out all enemy assets, and now we have to locate more of our mechs. Basically, we're denying things to the enemy, and lore-wise, this isn't like made up for the game as filler necessarily. There is this whole part on Courchevel in the lore in which we do hunt down basically raider types like the ALAG more or less, and that are doing this, trying to take our mech assets anyway in our technology, and we're trying to stop them. Ez is getting more and more whiny, and we are just trying to get the job done, despite the discontent of Ezra here, I suppose. And then he, has some more about how, what's the big deal if we let one mech go through, more or less. And to answer that, Ezra, if we let one mech even go through, the mission fails, we have to restart it, so it does definitely matter. But in any case, here's where my star starts taking extra damage, because I kind of need them to, and I put them in bad positioning. I definitely could have played this better. Firstly, we have a whole bunch of VTOLs to deal with. Now, these VTOLs can have either 4 AC2s or sometimes 2 AC10s, so you really got to be careful. They can bring pretty decent firepower to whittle you down. So we want to take them out, which we do because we're ridiculously powered up with our Salt Star. And now we have 2 Hellbringers to deal with. And these can be even spicier than the Novas, because while the Novas have a lot of potential damage because of the 12 ER medium lasers, these Hellbringer Primes just have a lot of potential front-loaded damage with hard-hitting stuff, particularly the ER PPCs. So we want to be careful. And now I definitely overextend here to this bridge. What's interesting is that they kind of split up the Hellbringers. One is going to cross through the water. The other is coming with the rest. And they have a decent support lance with them. They have Jaeger mechs, which are a little bit more brittle but have decent long range punch. And here we have one Hellbringer kind of flanking us while we face these enemies on the bridge. And it's being this close to the bridge that was my folly. So I'm going to have my star take a lot of hits, and I'm trying to get them to fall back now because I realized I overpushed. Sometimes the Hellbringer comes up this road, sometimes it doesn't. In this case it didn't, and it's right in the thick of us, right in the middle. And while they are rather glass cannon-y, emphasis on the cannon part, right? So there we have Yuichi taking some pretty heavy damage because I let these get far too close, because I went far too aggressive. I should have stayed further back on the bridge because they're looking to cross over the bridge and come this way anyway. So now we have an Awesome to deal with. We have Yuichi, who lost an arm, I believe. Yeah, it's not looking good. Yuichi's taking some pretty big damage. But to be fair, it's just an arm, and one leg has got a blow through. It's always that leg that gets a blow through on a direwolf. It's very strange. In any case, not ideal, but we're taking them out, right? We just took out that mech with an engine kill, and now we have the Awesome to take out, which is gone. But we're hurting. Yuichi's hurting, I'm hurting. The rest of the star is going to take some damage as well. We have one more spot to go. This is why I was saying you could definitely play this better than I have. Now, I've had my leg get a blow through in this final part of this mission in the past, and I still was able to get it done. But we're going to be facing 2 more of our mechs, plus another lance of support, which will include assault mechs and whatnot, coming from the same area. So it looks like they're trying to go back through that canyon that we stopped those 2 Novas in originally, I think, because I do believe they are crossing over the bridge, or trying to cross over that bridge where this came from. So now what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to use some tactics for the first time. I'm trying to get into a position where I can put my star for maximum range firepower, while then triggering the nav point, more or less. Because once we trigger this nav point, that's when the enemies are going to kind of load in, more or less, in terms of game design logic. In any case, though, this is the final push, so this is why you do want to take a little bit more of your time and definitely maximize your range, because um, as you can see, we're hurting. We're hurting even though uh, we have, all assault mechs because we're facing a lot of assets. But this is basically not only is it the last push for this mission, this is kind of like the last legs of ALAG's real formidable resistance against us on this planet. So we have the enemy assets coming in, and basically now what I'm just trying to do is burn down the enemy as fast as I can. We're low on ammo, right? I'm pretty sure Naomi's out of ammo for the missiles on the Executioner. But we took out a Thunderbolt, I believe. And we took out, was that a Zeus? I couldn't tell, it died so fast. But we have a Nova and a Stormcrow. And those are the enemy assets we have to try and take out. Or we must take out, or it's a fail, right? So now what I'm doing is I am basically going to go after the enemy assets myself while trying to get my star to finish off the lance and support. So Yuichi just took another hit. He's pretty critical in terms of damage, but at this point I figure he's gonna either eject or take things down with the rest of the stars. So I leave the Banshee and the Victor, two assault mechs, to the rest of my star as I kind of try to head off this Nova at the pass, more or less, which is exactly what I'm doing. I basically go full tilt to take out this Nova because I realize this is really the most important part because the other mechs will fall. And they did, pretty much at the same time. So Ichi lost an arm and a leg and took heavy damage to a side torso. And in actuality, despite having maxed out repair efficiency and enough technicians for every mech, Yuichi's direwolf is going to be so damaged it won't be fully repaired for the next mission. And I didn't click in my head right away in doing some intermission, in between mission stuff. And I was trying to figure out how to get him to be fully repaired. And I realized, wait, he's already got 5 technicians on him and he can't be repaired. So I do what any sensible thing would do at this point, and I just buy another direwolf for the next mission, basically, so that one can be repaired. But yeah, it's a pretty potent mission. Definitely could have taken a lot less damage, but I enjoy it, and it really is kind of the turntable, if you will, of what's going down, because now in trying to do stuff against us, they lost one dropship, they lost the mech assets for the second dropship that they took from us, so they don't have much else going on for them. And we've depleted their strength story-wise. So now what we're going to see is basically one last hurrah, more or less, against the ALAG, which is pretty cool. We're approaching the end of Courchevel's second arc. So a long time spent on Courchevel, but I do appreciate it. It's not just, same thing, different day necessarily. We do get a bit of a different vibe of Courchevel in the second arc, right? Still mountainous, but not in the same capacity as the first arc of Courchevel. So all in all, I think it's going rather well in terms of the variety of missions on Courchevel, despite doing so much here. But story-wise, this is all a part of it. And as you can see, there is Yoichi's direwolf, and I'm going to be spending far too long trying to figure out why I can't get it to 100% repair, despite not realizing it. Anyways, until later. So I'm going to end the video here as I kind of fumble around. Thanks so much for tuning in and stopping by. I do need 25 anyway, so it is a good purchase. But yeah, anyways, that's all I really got going on. I did forget to requisition things aside from the direwolf, which is why I have those points. So I'm spending them here as well. So next mission, I believe, is going to be, I think, our final mission against the ALAG. Should be a lot of fun. More direwolf shenanigans. That's basically going to become the game. 5 direwolf go is basically going to be the missions at the end. So be ready for that. Anyways, thanks so much for stopping by. Let me know your thoughts on the mission. And until next time, take care.